Hey guys, this here is Getaway Driver 101, and today I will be giving you an explanation on how to set up a gaming computer. Once you have Windows 11 installed, or whatever Windows you're using, you need to go get a benchmark tool and make sure you have your drivers installed and everything is done, and you have NVIDIA installed or AMD platform, whatever one that may be. You need to run a benchmark. Afterwards, restart your computer before running the benchmark tool. Once you have restarted the computer, you're gonna go ahead and launch your benchmark. If you have a display counter that you can turn it on. If not, then I suggest going and picking up software, which is going to be HW Hardware Monitor. When you open HW Hardware Monitor, it is going to show you a list of all your sensors and everything that's going on with the computer, and if there's any issues or thermal throttling, fans going too low or too high, voltage being incorrect, whatnot, it's going to give you a list of everything. Now, as you can see currently here, it shows that my health status is 99, which means that I've already used up 1% of my my SSD, sorry about that, brain fart, SSD. Since it's used up 1%, that's probably 1,000 read and write cycle or 100,000 read and write cycles out of probably 1 million, depending on the SSD and the SSD. There's more information on the SSDs. You can go find out that information elsewhere, or other videos, Wikipedia, whatnot. From there, you're going to run your benchmark. Leave HW Hardware Monitor running in the background. When you're running your benchmark, let your benchmark run for a good while. Get a good low percentage, a good mid percentage, and a good high percentage of what your frame rate might be. Make sure that the quality is set correctly to ultra or higher graphics cards. If it's not a higher graphics card, set it to normal. Now, from there, once everything is running and you see how your frames are doing and you like how everything looks, it's not going to be perfect because this is based on a older engine, but it still works for benchmarking and seeing whether or not if your graphics card is running properly. I would suggest letting it run and see that your graphics card gets up to temperature but doesn't overheat. Your graphics card should be able to get up to about 65 or 68 C. Once you hit over 75 C, that's when you are technically getting too hot. You're not overheating, but you're getting too hot. 80 to 85 is when most people start considering their computer as overheating, but it's really not. You can go as high as 100 C. Now, 100 C is not recommended. That is 212 Fahrenheit or 225. That is, a fire starts at 255 Fahrenheit. So if your computer is doing 212 to 225 at 100 C, you kind of see the point in how hot that can be. So remember, you don't want a fireplace sitting next to you or a motor. You want it to be, well, sound, running nice, and, well, as equal to what it's running as performance. So the sound should be equal to the performance that is running. So as the computer gets louder, the performance should be the same, or depending on the game, maybe a little better or a little bit more poor, depending on the computer's setup. My graphics card is set up to, as it gets above 65, it is now 1,000 per fan. There's 2 fans in my graphics card, so that means each fan is doing 1,000 RPMs, which means that it's technically 2,000 RPMs running on the fan. So remember, NVIDIA no longer goes by both fans, they now go by fan to fan. So you're only going by one fan now on the sensor instead of both. Don't ask me why they did that. Don't know. But you can pull up a note, which is MSI Afterburner, that will show you this if you don't believe me. But as long as everything is working like it should, and your benchmark tool is launching like it should, and if you use MSI Afterburner, be very careful with this. This can hurt your graphics card. It can also hurt your computer and your power supply if you don't know how to use it. It is one of those things that you should not get too aggressive on. The computer's pretty smart at understanding if there's an issue. So for me, I have monitoring on all kinds of things. So now we're going to go ahead and boot that up. So now, as you can see, the fan is here, 1600 RPM. As you can see to my right, it says 800. Now, the RPM is not accurate with NVIDIA. Don't ask me why, it just isn't. Neither is their overlay anymore, and I think they did that for a good reason. They probably had to have the graphics card have an efficiency setting for the overlay, which I don't blame them. Like, if your graphics card's running 500 frames on a game at 100%, it needs to focus more on the game than its stupid UI, right? But its UI don't need to crash too. So what's the best way to balance it? You slow its time rate down. That's basically what they did. They just slowed its refresh rate down. It still works like it should. It just doesn't refresh at the correct rate. There's nothing wrong with that though. You can still use it as intended. It will still read your CPU correctly, and your GPU correctly, and your frame rate correctly, but it won't read fan speed correctly, and wattage may vary. So now that you know your benchmark is good and everything runs great for your benchmark, I suggest going and checking out my security video that explains how to set up your security. It is not the best video for quality audio. I have just recently fixed all my issues with my audio recently. Since my audio has just recently been fixed, that was due to a few issues that I had and did not. But just to give you a heads up, there is a control panel for your network security. I always recommend to new people, even for gaming, that you make sure your network's correct. I have to edit that. So from there, you're going to go to security. Now that you're in security, you're going to go ahead and set each of these to high. From there, you're going to go to advanced. And then you're going to go all the way down and make sure you have warn on. Send do not track request. If you have Windows Defender Smart Screen, turn it on if your Defender Smart Screen is enabled. Do not turn this on otherwise. And that's just because Windows Defender will kind of bug out. I don't trust Windows Defender with its smart screen too much as far as how reliable it is. So just keep that in mind. Now make sure you also have block unsecured images or mixed content. And check publisher certification. And then make sure server certifications. Check signatures on downloads and programs. So that means when you download something, it will flag it if it is not a verified signature. Thanks for watching, like or subscribe, and I will see you all next time.